Welcome to this week's edition of Warrior Weekly. I'm Lukas DeGarmo alongside Travis Whipple. First football, Travis. Winona State football signed 29 recruits last week in National Letter of Intent Signing Day.
Important day for the football team, as you mentioned, signing 29 student athletes to compete here in 2010. But you know, some real big help on the offensive and defensive lines as they had 8 offensive linemen commit and then also 6 defensive linemen. So a tremendous class there. They also signed a quarterback, a tight end, a place kicker offensively, and a fullback. Those are some important voids to fill, I feel, moving forward from last season.
Yeah, a young team last season, Winona State football, so they should be outstanding next fall. Soccer also signed 8 players last week.
Yep, they signed 8, and again, you know, Coach Omar does a great job of bringing in very high-quality student athletes. They did bring in a goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 1 forward, and 3 midfielders. So a good class there. 1 from Wisconsin, 2 from Iowa, 4 from Minnesota, and 1 from Illinois. So, you know, it's typical our recruiting area, the tri-state area around here.
Moving to Winona State University gymnastics now, again goes against Division I competition, taking 2nd place up at the University of Minnesota.
Pretty neat place to play, or compete, I should say, for gymnastics. And, you know, I think it was a crowd of around 3,500 up there at the U of M, and always a tough place to compete, but really good experience, I feel. They brought in a score of about 179, and so, you know, pretty close to one of their best performances of the year, that 180 they brought just last month.
February 12th, the Winona State Gymnastics will be home again against the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. And then on February 19th at 7 p.m., they will be at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. So be sure to catch both those, as both are right in the area. Moving on now to Winona State women's basketball. Got a split at McCown last weekend here in Winona. Played Northern State on Friday and then lost that game, and then, of course, played the University of Mary on Saturday night and got a big win against them. Anna Wirtz has been named the ESPN The Magazine on the all-academic, all-district 2nd team. Last year she was on the 3rd team, so Anna improved there. And again, academics continue to be tops among all sports here at Winona State.
And we're very proud of that. I think, you know, probably more so, well, for sure more so than those things that happen on the court of the field. We're so glad to have such talented student athletes, and again, I think it really stems from the top with Athletic Director Larry Holstead, and it just filters down through all of our coaches. But Anna, very well deserved for her. You know, obviously we see her compete on Friday and Saturdays quite often, and does a great job there. But I think what people don't see is the community service she's involved in, and then of course the high academic standards that she's set.
And then, of course, I mentioned the Winona State women's basketball team split, went 1-1. They moved to 9-6 in the NSIC, 14-8 overall. They lost to Northern State on Friday night, as I mentioned, 64-53. And then, of course, beat the University of Mary the next night against Northern State. Anna Wirtz, 23 points. Michelle McDonald, again, a double-double. She is at a whole nother level right now for the women's basketball team.
Yeah, she's a double-double machine. You mentioned it. It's been outstanding. And, you know, I think we've touched on it so many times on the show that they need her to play well and have those kind of numbers to get wins. But, you know, falling a little short against Northern State on Friday, you know, a difficult opponent to play. They kind of play a matchup zone, a lot of length and size on that front line for Northern State. And, you know, we just felt like we got a little bit cold in the second half. They went on a late 11-0 run that kind of really sealed the deal.
And then, of course, I mentioned Saturday night the University of Mary fell to Winona State women's basketball 79-68. Claire Steffen, the freshman, had 3 big threes in the second half, led a 15-5 run, and that really put the University of Mary Marauders away in the second half.
Yeah, Claire Steffen had some big shots, and it's great to see from a freshman. She's been, you know, she can really get hot, and we've seen it all year long. And you mentioned it; those 3 big-time threes really pushed the lead up and allowed the Warriors to come out victorious in a key win against University of Mary.
The next home game for Winona State women's basketball will be February 24th at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday night against Upper Iowa University. So a weekday game that hopefully will pack the house here at McCown Gymnasium. Moving on now to men's basketball. They also split. A loss to Northern State on Friday night, beat the University of Mary on Saturday night. Starting with that Northern State game, though, they only lost by 3, 69-66. A tough-fought game for the men's basketball team, but they weren't able to get it done down the stretch.
You know, as you see in NSIC competition, if you don't execute down the stretch, if you have some miscommunications on defense, it's going to hurt you. And that's kind of what happened. I think you look at a 3-minute stretch there where they had some turnovers, maybe some missed opportunities, and Northern capitalized. Just happened to be the better team on that particular night, which was a difficult loss.
And Northern State dominated the rebounding category 31-19. That continues to haunt Winona State men's basketball. David Johnson, though, led all Winona State scorers with 15 points. Clayton Vetty had 10 points, 9 in the first half, only 1 in the second half. He had 3 block shots and a steal. So Clayton Vetty's starting to maybe get in more of a rhythm for down the stretch.
I think so. I think we've seen him kind of get his legs back, obviously get back in conditioning and basketball shape after that injury. And it just seems more explosive, more comfortable coming down on the knee and all those types of things. So I think we'll see good things down the stretch from him and the rest of the team.
And this past Saturday night, as I mentioned, Winona State men beat the University of Mary 71-67. Both times these two teams have met, it's been great games. Up in Bismarck, of course, Winona State men fell in overtime, but here at McCown, they were able to get a 4-point win over the Marauders. 5 times the game was tied in 6 lead changes. What a game at McCown.
You mentioned it. They almost needed some extra minutes in overtime again as what happened out in Bismarck. So certainly 2 teams that are, I think, very well matched up and right now really have an opportunity perhaps to meet again in the first round of the NSIC tournament. If it were to be today, University of Mary would be coming back here for that 4-5 matchup.
That's why that win over the Marauders was so big because, both those teams don't want to go from Bismarck to Winona or vice versa. So a big game for Winona State, big victory. Joel Armstrong in that game dominated. Ben Fisher had another stellar game. He continues to be the floor general for the men's team. And we actually caught up with assistant coach Brady Moore.
How big was it tonight for the Warriors to come out and get the win, especially after last night's disappointing loss?
It was really big because, first of all, we need to stay in the top 4 in our conference to host a first-round playoff game in our in the NSIC tournament. So we need to do that, and then also for regional purposes. Mary's in front of us right now, so getting a win against a team that's higher above us should help us out. With the loss last night, especially to Northern, now hopefully we're still in that top 10. And overall for our conference, we needed to get a split at least this weekend. So it was very important.
Was there anything about tonight's game that surprised you, maybe you weren't expecting?
Not really. I mean, we kind of knew that it was going to be a game where there'd be some wild plays and up and down action, and at the same time we'd be slow down as well. And I think maybe the only thing was we were a little disappointed in our rebounding in the first half. That really surprised us how lethargic we were rebounding the basketball in that first half. But we did a lot better job in the second half of that.
So the rebounding, obviously a concern. Were there any other concerns for you in this game?
Not really. Just trying to keep good offensive spacing, containing them off the dribble, all those little things that you always work on. I think you're concerned with always your shooting. If you're not shooting a high percentage, hopefully your defense, has to be there every night no matter what. And so we shot the ball okay, played pretty solid defense for the most part, and it was an important win for us. So other than that, it was good.
Okay. How are you guys going to prepare for the big road trip next weekend?
We'll practice Monday, and then Tuesday we might give them off. We don't know yet. We kind of play that by ear and see how all the bodies are feeling. And then Wednesday, Thursday, we really gear up for Wayne State. That'll be Friday. And we'll leave Thursday around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll get out there about 7 or 8, rest up, and then play Friday night, and then get on the road and head up to Sioux Falls and play Augie on Saturday. And, just kind of go through all the same motions. We'll go through scout team and do all that fun stuff. But now that we're playing these teams for a second time around, now we can kind of really focus on ourselves more than what they do, because our guys should have that pretty fresh in their memory. So
that was assistant men's basketball coach Brady Moore. Next home game for Winona State, along with the women, will be on February 24th at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night against travel partner Upper Iowa University. So be sure to come to McCown to support Winona State men's and women's basketball game. The home finale will be on February 27th versus St. Cloud State at 7 p.m. and that is Blackout Breast Cancer Night. So be sure to wear black to the game.
Wear black to the game, and we'll also be selling T-shirts and wristbands, and don't forget $1 of every ticket sold is donated to Winona Health Mammography Department. So important cause, and really some great basketball to be played here in McCown Gym to wrap up the season.
Winona State women's track and field also dominating early this season, ranked 13th in the nation by the Coaches Association and number 4 in the Central Region.
Yeah, they've done an outstanding job, and they won their most recent meet at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and so just been a great season already, and certainly some well-deserved rankings here early on.
Kelly Shaw won the 400. Caitlin Dine won the 55-meter dash. Rachel Steer won the shot put, and Alyssa Lammers won the long jump. So they have a lot of players that are contributing a lot to that team.
Yeah, I think it's coming in a lot of different ways. I think early on we saw maybe the field athletes really, setting the D2 provisional marks and having all kinds of records and things like that. But, Kelly Shaw's led the way for the sprinters and as well as Dine. And so they just do a tremendous job across the board. I think a very complete team, I would say, this year.
Winona State women's track and field won't be at home technically, but they will be in Winona, Minnesota on February 12th at St. Mary's, the Cardinal Open, 4 p.m. And then at February 19th, they will be at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, just across the river at 4:30 p.m. Now moving on to baseball here at Winona State University. They're starting to get things going, and we'll be going up to the Metrodome for the Metrodome Classic here come the end of this month. Division II preseason Central Region poll ranked 7th. They're not up real high, but Central Region, I think they can make some noise this year.
Oh, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of noise to be made from this team. Maybe coming in a little under the radar.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot coming back and some good new faces. And we caught up with Coach Polk a couple weeks ago on All Access. He's really excited. Maybe the most excited he's been about a group of Warriors here coming in. And so he thinks there's a lot of potential here to be had. Some important games to start out the season down in Warrensburg, Missouri, at Central Missouri. So some tremendous opportunities to get some quality in-region games.
That's it for Warrior Weekly this week. For Travis Whipple, I am Lukas DeGarmo, and remember, it's a great day to be a Warrior.